Hello and welcome to Aircel Chennai Speaks Out. Atrocious and scandalous. These are labels that a member of the Tandon Committee stuck on several deemed universities in India. 44 of these deemed universities have been blacklisted and face a threat of derecognition. And more than a third of these universities are in Tamil Nadu. Now there's another list coming. And here too we are told a large number of these universities are again in Tamil Nadu. Now what has come as a sort of breather for most of these deemed universities is that the Supreme Court has stayed their derecognition to the first week of March. But what does this mean to lakhs of students, many of whom thought that admission to these universities was a passport to a bright future? What does this mean for lakhs of parents who have parted, some of them even with their life savings, to pay exorbitant fees for their children? To debate all this and more, we are joined by Dr. Balasubramanian, who is the spokesperson of Amet University, Dr. Kalanidhi, former Vice Chancellor of Anna University, Dr. Saru Kesi, who is the Vice Chancellor of Hindustan University, and D. Suresh Kumar, Assistant Editor, Education of the Times of India. But before we proceed, it's over to the news studio for all the headlines.
Good afternoon and welcome to NDTV Hindu. You're watching the headlines at noon with me, Minal Shah. Our top stories at this hour. Actor Ajit has requested Chief Minister Karunanidhi to issue a direction that film personalities should not be arm-twisted to attend social and political events. At the felicitation function organized by the Tilsil town for Chief Minister M. Karunanidhi, Ajit said, and I quote, actors only want to act and are not interested in taking a stand on issues, quote unquote. Reacting to the actors' appeal, Karunanidhi said cinema should not be politicized and no one should be compelled or threatened to join political agitations. Ajit's speech was welcomed by actor Rajinikanth with a standing ovation.
அரசியலை உழைத்து நேர் நன்மைகளை செய்ய வேண்டிய எல்லாரும் அரசியல் உழைத்தால் ஆதரவு விட இந்த திரைப்படத்துறை அமைந்துவிடக் கூடாது என்று நான் எதிர்பார்க்கிறேன்.
After NDTV Hindu's report on water contamination in the Manali area, the State Bank of India near the area closed the controversial sump and has dug a new one at the Manali New Town. Reportedly, the Metro Water Department checked the area and realized that the problem was from the diesel generator from the State Bank of India. Now, the residents of Manali are relieved.
We started having some smell in our water. It smelled kerosene. NDTV Hindu people came here and we, after getting all the interviews and other things, they telecasted. Day before yesterday, when I went for walking, I found the sump and the diesel generator have been separated. For a new sump has been built, and even the water has started getting sweet, getting better. So thank you very much for. We are thankful. On behalf of, we are thankful to NDTV Hindu.
The Anna University has said it will strictly reinforce restrictions on the movement of vehicles on its campus. The move comes after a member of the faculty was injured when a car driven by a student hit him. The student has been suspended. There is already a ban on the movement of vehicles on the campus, which was introduced about 2 years ago.
Now, accident can happen. You see, the number of vehicles used by the faculty is far less compared to the students. Student population is quite large, and the vehicle users in the student side is more in numbers compared to the staff.
Yes, it should apply to both because accidents can be caused by anyone, as you said, and people should be able to not only the process but also other people should also not use the vehicles inside the campus. I think the ban applies only inside the campus. You can bring vehicles up to the campus. Only inside the campus it's banned, I guess.
Well, that's all at the moment. Stay tuned to NDTV Hindu. Back to Chennai Speaks Out with Sanjay Pinto.
So our proposition today, have deemed universities failed students? Suresh Kumar, to you first. Do you believe that these deemed universities have become a law unto themselves? Tamil Nadu's education minister say they are in fact functioning with unbridled powers like petty shops.
Certainly, yes. A large number of deemed universities are functioning as a law unto themselves, absolutely no control and functioning like a kingdom of their own. They charge exorbitant fees, conduct fancy courses which are not listed in the UGC's list of 163 specified courses. And they admit students at their will. Admit thousands of them when they can. The classrooms can hold just 60 of the students. So certainly there is a need to guard these institutions. Certainly there's a need to monitor these institutions, and that's what this committee has done of the HRD ministry. Been classified into three segments. One comprising excellent institutions, the other 44 in the B list, which must improve within 3 years, and the third category of the doomed list, which is now the Supreme Court.
All right, Dr. Balasubramaniam, how do you respond to these charges? Very specific.
Mr. Suresh Kumar knows very well our deemed university is governed by UGC and Ministry of Human Resource Development. They are having vested powers. In the middle of the academic year, all on a sudden, you know very well, one day we referred the paper, immediately say then they are going to de-recognize. Undemocratic. And they should tell us. They were the rules. And Mr. Suresh is saying they are admitting students as they like. What UGC was there? When the admissions was there?
What was UGC? Okay, Dr. Kalanidhi, in fact, one institution starts 500 off-campus centers. They enroll 1,500 PhD scholars with less than 200 faculty members. So these are specific charges which have been raised by the 4-member committee.
No, my basic question is constitution of this committee itself. The government does not have the power to constitute the committee to go into this kind of ills prevailing in the deemed universities. Legally and constitutionally, only the University Grants Commission is the body that can do this job. If at all the minister wants to have first-hand information about these institutions, yes, he can appoint a committee, but he cannot take this report as a report, official report, and present it to the Supreme Court as an affidavit. I think basically that itself is wrong.
What do you have to say about the charges, specific charges about overcrowding of classrooms, lack of trained faculty?
Yes, there are certain institutions, we have to accept that mistakes are there. But even the government universities are following the same system, which means even the government institutions which are governed by the state governments and the deemed universities which are governed by the so-called University Grants Commission, both are ignoring their duties. The monitoring part is completely missing, and therefore you find this kind of irregularities.
So the Education Minister of Tamil Nadu says even single window counseling, they have not surrendered 65% of seats. They don't follow even reservation norms. So they are, as we said earlier, are they a law unto themselves?
We are not a law unto ourselves. We actually follow what has been recommended by the University Grants Commission. The idea of giving autonomy and making it as a deemed university is to promote the higher education at a fast rate, which is needed for the country as per the commission already. So what we are trying to do is to restrict and see to the quality is maintained in the admissions and admit the people.
Do you do that in your university, sir?
Yes.
But your university, does it also fall in the next list?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we have not, we are only 1.5 years, so we come under the grace list.
Okay, but you agree that all is not well in your university?
No, we are perfectly working.
Okay. Where is the problem then, Suresh?
I strongly disagree that there's been no monitoring of these universities. The deemed universities have resisted every measure taken at monitoring them. When the AICT wanted to inspect the deemed universities, they went to the court and obtained a stay. And secondly, the issue was, not that the National Knowledge Commission has not merely said that create 1,500 universities. It has also spoken about two other important things, access and equity.
Both the National Commission, Knowledge Commission,
Yes.
and the Yashpal Committee
and
as
the
well.
Yashpal Committee. Both have specifically spoken on, not only creating need for creating universities, they also speak about access, equity and quality. And access and equity will not be there if the deemed universities charge excess capitation fee, somewhere between 35 lakh
How many
for
of you have
medical
paid?
seats.
Be honest. This is your platform. How many of you, show of hands, have paid capitation fees? You have paid, ma'am. You have paid capitation fees.
Yeah, deemed universities collect much of capitation fees. So that is very vividly seen. Even they do not form the UGC norms. The percentage of marks, that itself, they are not following the community-based admission. That is very clear.
Do you charge capitation fees in your university?
No,
You don't charge?
Not normally.
Any of you pay capitation fees? No. Are you being politically correct because you're professors here?
We come here on merit.
All right, okay. You don't charge capitation fees? Okay, you've trained them well or?
Sir, in this case, I wish to make one point. What UGC was there when that admission was there? They are vested with powers. I am saying, government is vested with powers. No,
Yes,
they can
yes.
do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't agree to that because like 50% of the students I have met from the deemed universities, wherever I go, they will say, we have come, we have paid. If we have got 80% marks also, we have paid 5 to 6 lakhs of donation. They won't consider the certificate at all. I had the late admission. So they told me, no, if you're having money, then you can go. If you're not having money, then sorry, we can't give you the seat. So that's what is happening in deemed university. I don't consider that merit and all these things is the main thing.
See, Mr. Suresh was saying that...
No, why don't you talk about what she is saying, sir?
No,
No, I'd like you to respond to her.
No, I'm coming to that point only. See, he said that monitoring is there. Monitoring is there at what level? They have got the right to go to the court, and therefore you cannot say that they should not go to the court at all. See, everybody has got, if they have grievance, they can go to the court. That is not existing. When the MOU is signed between the University Grants Commission and the institution before forming the deemed university, you have set of norms to be followed. Now, even there, you find that between AICT and UGC, they have so much misunderstanding.
So sorry to interrupt you here, sir. 2008, the Tamil Nadu, in fact, Higher Education Department had pointed out non-compliance with UGC guidelines and even the memoranda of understanding, right? Yes. They had pointed out in 2008, a state government committee had pointed out flagrant violations of even UGC guidelines.
No, I'm saying the violations have been there. I'm only suggesting that in the MOU, you have stricter guidelines are needed, and then monitoring should be effective. Today, there is no monitoring. Effective monitoring is not there, and therefore they are going scot-free.
Are you open to monitoring, or
We are open to monitoring. I don't think we hide this one for the purpose of telling to the public. We are very open.
When they are making the complaints, at the time of admission, they are paying heavy capitation fee openly, and that they are having every right. And UGC can definitely interfere with those institutions. Why they are not doing?
But it's common knowledge, sir, that most universities charge capitation fees on the slide.
No.
It's common knowledge. What she's saying is,
Not on the slide, you can get it on the phone. You can get the figures on the phone. And then you have to pay, and then you get an admission.
If you agree that it has been going on for long, what were you doing all these years?
No, but at least now something is being done.
You have secondary mediators between the institution and the people. Like if you want to join, like if you're from Andhra or any other state, you want to join a deemed university in Chennai, what you do is you go find a secondary mediator, you give him money, and the college also, the institution also gives him, the commission, and we are also paying him, and finally he finds you a seat, and this is what is happening.
Okay, you also paid the capitation fees?
No, my friend has experienced this case.
Okay, but you haven't
She
paid.
told me
The
this is
same
happening.
experience is there for the past more than several years. And
But
everybody,
the time has come to finally crack the whip,
my
sir.
point is, everyone knows. Now the monitoring, in the monitoring part only, I am saying that whatever the MOU that was prepared about a few decades back, the same MOU you are carrying on. Who prevented you from putting strict guidelines for monitoring?
Precisely because there was no monitoring. Precisely because, more than 80 deemed universities had sprung up over the last 10 years. The government is now seeking to do something. Let us not, intervene and say that this committee doesn't have power, that committee doesn't have power. Every college became a deemed university only to have unfettered rights. It's not because of academic innovation or research that they want to become a deemed university.
How many show of hands? How many of you agree with this?
We all agree.
Obviously join these institutions after paying capitation fees or coughing up exorbitant fees because you believe that you would get a good job. But many of you, since the universities itself are blacklisted, what will happen to your job prospects now?
Not all deemed universities are doing this. Actually, the concept of deemed university...
16 out of 20...
44
in Tamil Nadu alone,
Tamil Nadu 28.
16 have been blacklisted.
See, sir,
More than half.
These are done by the administrators. You cannot blame the concept of deemed university for it. Like, when the people are wrong, you shouldn't blame every university. Like, when they are wrong, correct them. Organize sudden checks. You cannot just blame deemed universities are not good. They are good. They offer very good placements. You get good placements which are not guaranteed in other affiliated colleges.
See, I'm in my final year and I'm going to pass out in a few months' time. Now, with this notice, there is every likelihood that you might de-recognize my university, and then you tell me that we will affiliate you with another university. What guarantee do you have that that university trusts me that I have done my current amount of years of study? I mean, there's always a possibility that he might say, listen, your list of syllabus and my list of syllabus varies.
If it happens that some of the institutions are de-recognized, the credits will be counted. It is not the thing that you have to do all the courses again.
Sorry about it. I don't think this is the way that we should handle the education system. No deemed university should be closed. If at all you want to make any corrections, appoint people into the university system and then make your corrections. Do your monitoring
You don't
effectively.
believe that some of them are beyond redemption?
Please, nothing. Don't close any deemed university. You have permitted, no, University Grants Commission has permitted, and therefore it has come into force, and therefore you cannot close.
Yes,
if at all you
very
want to
briefly,
correct your system,
Professor, yeah.
you do your monitoring effectively.
If at all, UGC should diagnose the reason for its sickness. If there is reason for sickness, give them time.
What will you say to that one of your students there? What will you
definitely.
say to, I mean, this is a genuine apprehension. The boy has slogged to get his degree, and just before he gets his job,
even
if his university is blacklisted, where will he go? What about the money his parents have invested? Which state, where are you from? From the, what do you have to say to him and his parents?
Really?
I will tell him this.
Yes, sir.
The university will not be closed. You can be guaranteed that the university will not be closed.
Another thing, difficult I'm telling, please allow me to talk.
Are you saying that
Academic
based on the
Council?
judicial delays in our country? No.
No, you see what? When they have approached in the illegal manner, I will have to say that this is not legal, and therefore I can very well say that
On
they
merit,
cannot
you
be
say
closed.
that, okay.
The system of approach is not correct.
See, we are all educationists, we know. Every university is having its own syndicate, Senate, Academic Council. How can all of a sudden everybody is saying third and committee? So no students will be affected. Students are very much affected.
All right, on that note, we'll slide into a short break. When we return, we'll ask our panelists and the audience, when you spoke about a syndicate and various committees, as to whether many of these universities are run like family fiefdoms.
We pay money because we need all the facilities.
Please correct your ill in the system, not the deemed universities.
This is quite undemocratic.
MBA in journalism, how do you defend it?
I don't consider this committee report as a report at all.
Education is becoming a business.
See, when you don't have guidelines, the universities will go chaotic.